Alright, so when I first got there, the guy who runs that booth wasn't there yet. And one of the guys watching one of the booths next to him was kind of watching things. So me and this one other guy were looking at stuff, and he had a bunch of toolboxes there. And he actually had a Craftsman Kennedy knockoff machinist toolbox that was in great shape. It was a small one, but it was in really good shape. And it had the front, you know, the pull-out front piece wasn't missing. And so he was asking me, he thought I worked there, and I said no, and then I kind of walked off down the line a little bit, but I was thinking about that toolbox. Well, what happened was the other guy comes over and he says, yeah, he says he can help us with prices. So the guy that I was talking to, who was also looking at the toolbox, asked him, he says, yeah, I'm interested in this toolbox. So the guy comes over and he looks at it and he's like, so what do you want to give me for it? And the guy says, how about 20 bucks? He said, yeah, okay. So that guy scooped that box for 20 bucks. Later on, when the guy who runs the booth came over, I told him about it because they were looking for some other tools that had gone missing. And I said, you know, I said, not for nothing, but the guy who bought that box for 20 bucks, I noticed he never opened the box. And he had been over there in that area earlier, and it occurred to me that he might just have slipped some stuff inside the drawers and got himself a little bit better of a deal than he had already gotten at 20 bucks on the box. But, you know, the other guy in his defense was saying that, well, he said, you know, the thing on the front was loose, it was falling off. He was talking about on the fronts of the machinist toolboxes, the slide out tray that you can put up in the vertical position and it keeps all the drawers closed. He was talking about that thing. That by design is made so you can take it right off. Matter of fact, sometimes when you go to buy a machinist toolbox, those are missing because somebody cleans out a garage or whatever, and that thing might have been off to the side and nobody noticed it. Take the box. Then later on, somebody comes along and goes, "What's this metal panel for?" "Ah, the hell with it." They throw it out. That's why sometimes you find those boxes are missing that panel. So this one had the panel. Guy made a little bit of a logistical error in my opinion, selling that box for 20 bucks. It wasn't a Kennedy, but it was a nice box for 20 bucks. So then that got me to thinking or looking at some of the other boxes he had there. And even though I've got quite a few toolboxes, I could probably find a spot to stick another toolbox. So I saw this top box. Obviously this is supposed to be on a rollaway, but it's a nice old sturdy one, you know, and it's got this little caddy that actually fits right in this spot perfectly. So I think by design that was the intent. So, you know, you want to go off and work on something, you throw your stuff in here and then you go. There's even a little socket holder in here. And then there's a socket holder built into the thing. And he said, well, I don't have the key for that one. And I said, well... So when we were going back and forth looking at stuff, there's a divider in this top drawer. The drawers are all nice and smooth, ball bearing sliders. It's not all banged up and dented up. It's old looking, yeah, sure. 20 bucks. I like that for 20 bucks. Now what I'm wondering is, not that I care about locking this box, but just out of curiosity, I'm wondering whether or not any of these keys, I have no idea what the key to this box should look like. You know, if I decide to go back to this guy this weekend, I might just bring this, thing of keys with me, give it back to him. He might have another toolbox. So he had some other toolboxes that he didn't have keys for over there. Yeah, I think I can toss that right off the bat. That looks like a house key. I recognize that as an old master lock key. I remember having a master lock that used that kind of a lock, that kind of a weird key. Trash that. Well, that's another one, that style. Travco. Wonder what that's for. That looks like it's also for a padlock, so we'll toss that. Yeah, my luck's not that good. I got one key left. Methinks it ain't gonna happen. Deluxe. Now that does look like a toolbox key though. That's a shame that that doesn't fit. I bet you that fits one of the ones that he has over there, though. That's a pair of house keys. I don't know what these little ones are for. Yeah, no, I don't think so. These look like for like a little lockbox. The house key ones. Alright guys, I guess that's going to conclude today's flea market finds feature. I'm assuming this is probably part 2 because I don't think I'm going to fit all this on one video. Alright, till next time. Oh, I almost forgot about this. I stopped at a Restore in the city. And I don't know if you guys, I don't know if that's a national thing or what, but what it is it's a store that is, I believe it's run by the Habitat for Humanity's people. And what they do is they sell building materials, but they sell all types of used and recycled building materials. They sell like surplus inventory, and I guess most of the stuff is donated to them, and then they turn around and sell it, and then they use the money, I think, for some of the other projects. So there's no telling what you might find there. And somebody told me about it, and they said, "Hey, you know, sometimes they have tools there." And I guess you gotta catch them just right. I haven't really had any luck getting any tools there, but I stopped in the other day because I was going right by it, and they had a bin over there that they have all kinds of bits of PVC pipe and conduit and stuff, and I happened to spot this black piece of thin-walled tubing, and I said to myself, you know, I wonder if I could get lucky enough and actually use this to fashion a socket for tightening that special locking nut on the Wells Index. So I asked the guy, I said, how much for this? And he said, oh, $1. And I said, sold. For $1, I'll take a chance and see if it's the right size that I could do something with. And if not, at some point, maybe I'll use it for something else. I figured it was worth $1. It's got to be it's got to be over 5 feet. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, probably just about 5 feet. And it looks to be about 2 inches in diameter. And then I also went and looked through the tools, and I did spot this little spanner. And I probably wouldn't have given it much thought, except for the fact that I had just recently been watching a video. I had watched these videos a while back, and I started thinking about my Mercury outboard that I'm going to have to do some work on. So I was refreshing my memory by watching some videos on YouTube. Channel is C Turbo Addict, I think is his channel name. And he did a whole series where he worked on an inline 6 Mercury. And he was talking a lot about the distributor, the trigger. So I got to thinking about that, and I ended up finding a video that wasn't by him, but was by another guy. And it's funny because the title of the video and the description's in English, but it's a video of this guy. He's not speaking English at all, and he's taking apart a distributor off of an old Mercury inline 6 outboard. And I watched him grab a spanner that looked almost identical to this and used it to hold the shaft on the distributor when he was removing the retaining nut. And it was funny that it just happened to be that I saw that video, and then I spotted this, and you know, it might not even be the same size, but it sure looked like it to me. So I went up to the counter, and there was no price on the box this was in or anything. And I said, "You take 50 cents for this?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." So I got this for $1. That was my big purchase, $1.50 plus tax. Oh, just putting the stuff away and realized I forgot about this stuff too. These were in the $1 a piece deal. Sears Air Drive Air Tool lubricating oil. So that'll come in handy. It's always nice. You put a couple of drops in any of your air tools before you hook it up to a hose. That'll help it last a lot longer. And then, as long as I'm on the subject of adding little things on here, I wanted to revisit our old friend, the mystery tool. We're pretty definitively have identified this based on not one but now two commenters on my YouTube videos here who believe that it has to do with shaving. And again, I don't have a razor to try it, but I believe that a safety razor goes on here, and then this gets clamped on, possibly like so. So then you're, and basically it's a type of straight razor that uses disposable blades. And believe it or not, found out online they actually call these shavettes. Shavette. And apparently they still offer them for sale. This one has absolutely no markings to indicate who makes it, but it kind of makes sense that not sure how you hold it actually, but the idea being that you would use it as almost like a straight razor. I figure that it's possible, maybe it's also possible to use it like a more traditional straight razor. I guess you could maybe put the blade over this and just use this. I wonder if you could just use this to hold the blade on. I don't know whether or not that would be able to hold that or not. And then, you know, kind of use it open like this. But no, I don't think that would work. I think it's strictly a deal like this. But somehow this found its way into a machinist's toolbox. Maybe he liked using a straight razor at work. Get those chin whiskers off. Make himself presentable. Get rid of that 5 o'clock shadow. Hey guys, gonna do a little flea market segment here. We're gonna call this a flea market segment, although none of these items were flea market finds. But they were the usual junk store and other places, Craigslist type things. So first up is just this metal box. Went to a local thrift shop, was going along, and I saw this metal box, and I was like, oh, hey, you know, it had $3 on it. Locks, but they don't have the key, so I got them to take $2 for this box. It's clearly a, I think from these ridges, these lips that are in here, it's for hanging file folders to go in. So I guess you would put your important files in here and lock them up. And it's double walls, so that might actually have even a little bit of fire resistance to it. I don't know, but I just thought for $2. Metal box that I could put one of my tools, I don't know what, I'll put something in here though. I'll find the perfect thing to store in this box. And the other issue is the handles are gone, but I figured I could just make some handles out of 2 little short links of some chain or something. So I'm not too worried about it, but for $2 I figured, the heck. So it was that. Just thought I'd share with you guys, this came in the other day. This is the Bijur, or however you say it, B-I-J-U-R. It's a replacement reservoir for the Wells Index Mill one-shot oiling system. The one that's on the mill's got a big hole in it. And I was going to patch the hole with something, and then I just went online and I searched, and it's amazing the wide variety of pricing you find on something like this because it's so specialized. But I did find a couple of companies that had these really reasonably priced, and I called the first couple and they were out of stock on them. And then I got a hold of this company. This company's called Foam Pack. I never heard of them. They're right in New Jersey. And I found on the website, I found this. So I gave her the part number when I called to order it. And that's actually not the invoice. I want to say that on their website they had this for like $27 and change, and when I gave her the part number she came back to me with a price of $29 and change. I explained to her that I had seen a different price online, and she apologized and said they just hadn't gotten around to updating the app, but that the price if I wanted it was $29 and change plus the shipping. And I figured, well, the shipping to Massachusetts from New Jersey shouldn't be that high, so I went ahead and ordered it. I wish I had the invoice. I forgot what I do with it. because they honored the $29 and change price. By the way, she said they were showing they only had one left in inventory, so she was kind enough to put me on hold and go and physically see if it was actually there before she promised it to me, only to find out that they were on back order. Also, we both agreed that more than likely if they didn't have this one, that if they reordered them, the price would go up yet again. So she said, yeah, I got it, it's yours if you want it, and shipped it to me. But then when the invoice came in, they honored the price on the darn reservoir, but unfortunately, they shipped it UPS ground from New Jersey. It was like $15 for this. This says right on it, 1 pound. Alright? So, on the invoice it said shipping and handling. I don't know what the minimum on UPS is. It used to be around $10. But that just seems like that's a 50% increase. Either that or they added a little bit extra on there for handling charges, which basically meant throwing it in the box with this little bit of packing material to keep it from shifting around and getting broken. But it's a genuine bijou, or I'm sure it's who the heck would counterfeit this thing? Anyways, happy to get that. Unfortunately, I ordered this when I was all wide-eyed and bushy-tailed about my mill being almost ready to go. That was before discovering the snapped spindle and the whole 9 yards. But that's another story. And then this box here, what I've got in here is I've got another garage that I've been cleaning out slowly. I've got a roll-away Craftsman toolbox, a small one, the top box and the base, that I bought when I was like 16 years old. That was my first big toolbox, and I've still got it. Unfortunately, I've only got the top box in the garage. The bottom box has been in my basement of the house I grew up in, which by now that thing's probably rusty and a complete mess. I haven't been down there in years to look at it. One of these days I'm going to haul it out to the daylight and see if it's salvageable, and if it is, I'll bring it over here and put it in the shop, add it to the collection of boxes. I can always use another roll-away. I've got several of the Kennedy top boxes now, but I only got one roll-away. My intermediate box that I've got is too wide. I think both of them are too wide for the base that I've got. So, anyways, would love to get another Kennedy base that's wide enough. Would love to get that 11-draw Kennedy that I passed on. But now you see those 11-draw Kennedys. Cheapest price I saw is this guy on Craigslist over in Rhode Island. He's got one. He's got $200 on it. So, anyways, all right. So I'm just going to go through the contents of this box real quick, because this isn't stuff I just bought. This is stuff I had for years. Here's a nice ball peen hammer. This is also, it says Champion. Huh. But it's funny because it says Somethingville, Penna, drop forged. I don't know. Looks like a genuine hickory handle though. Another one of these mallets. I think I got one just like this. I think the other one's a Williams. I don't know who makes this one. It's got a diamond shape logo there, but I can't quite make out what it says. Kind of worn. Looks identical to the other one I have. A little rough, but I believe these are Exolite. These actually got a little bit of rust on them from being out in the unheated garage. These are actually very good quality tools. I think they're owned by the same company that owns Crescent. And this was actually part of a larger set of Exolite tools I had when I was doing work as an electronics technician. Bought myself out of the Ford Ham catalog. Those of you who may have remembered that catalog know what I'm talking about. Bought one of those nice big hard shell Exolite tool kits. It was like $400 and something back in the day. That was a lot of money for that. Champion, made in France, metal handle rubber mallet. Don't know the name on this one. Solid wood handle, almost like a copper colored metal alloy head with looks to be maybe screw-on replaceable. Maybe not. I don't know. Tips. Genuine Crescent clamping pliers. These are nice when you're welding. Wire wheel cup, a wire wheel, nice multi-grip made in USA screwdriver. This has got a nice, get a lot of torque on a Phillips head screw with that, so I'll grab that. little set of Allen wrenches. I got plenty of Allen wrenches, but this is a little Craftsman set that's in its own little pouch, so that'd be a good one to keep in just a separate small toolbox, maybe for the trailer. Chisel. Cat's paw. That's funny. A cat's paw this is not typically what a carpenter or a framer would call a cat's paw, but it must be the same company that invented the cat's paw. Cat's paw fine tools since 1805. This is a number 1012 C. Drew, Kingston, Mass. Just a big chisel. Very little ball peen hammer. It's an early one. Just a brass rod that is beat on both ends, was obviously used as a drift. And you're banging bearings or something like that. I talked about these a couple weeks ago when I was working on, I actually thought maybe I could use these to get one of these nuts out, but turns out these are a little rusty, but even if I get them to open up far enough, I don't think they would have worked. I'll have to put a little oil on those because I am probably going to want to have those in my repertoire. Here's a nice big drift right here. This is cheapo Taiwan. It was chrome plated and the chrome plating is failing. Put that with punches and chisels. A little set of Torx tipped drivers here. These are also cheap, OEM Taiwan. OEM. I don't even know. I bet you I got these at the Worcester Factory Tool Outlet before they closed years ago. Plastic bag with Allen wrenches in it. Another set of vice grips. These are made in China, cheap junky vice grips. A little drill holder. Figured I could start maybe. Oh yeah, that's rusted in there. Another thing left over from my electronics days that I thought might come in handy to have around here. GC Electronics, Rockford, Illinois. It's a little pick, almost like your dentist would use to clean your nasty teeth. Scrape away at your tartar. Fix that gingivitis. Ow! Shoot! Serves me right. I just went to slip that one in and jammed that sharp point into my thumb. Probably drew blood. Maybe not. Such a small hole. Anyways, these are little tiny picks that you can use for picking at stuff. Handy if you want to get an O-ring, a small O-ring out of a groove maybe or something like that. Loctite red, thread locker red. That's the stuff that once you lock the threads with that stuff, you may need to apply heat to get it to come undone. What else is in here? Drill bits. Punch. Oh, this is a nice, this almost looks like one of the Starrett ones or whatever, punches. That might clean up nice. Add that to, I've got a few of those now. I just grabbed it. I just saw these chuck keys, small ones. I'll add those to my other chuck key mess. This little block right here, this actually, I bought that green toolbox that I featured in a video a while ago. This was actually part of that deal, and I didn't know what the hell these were back then. But what they are, they're tapered reamers. And if they're, what I'm hoping they are, they might just be the size for doing holes for tapered pins. But anyways, these two are different. But that's what they look like anyways. Small tap wrench, probably a no-name cheapo by the looks of it. Pretty good condition here. A Husky! Phillips head screwdriver stubby. Oh, this thing I'm holding in my hand, got a nice handle on the end here, and it's got a spring up to it, and it's a magnet on the end there. This is for when you drop that screw down into the abyss and you can't quite reach it any other way. That's what this is for. It's actually got a threaded hole on the end here, so I think you can actually, if you had something to thread in there, a rod, you could probably make it even longer. Oh, what's this? Stanley stub screwdriver. Can always use a, oh look at that, it's 20 amp only. When you see the, when you've got one blade horizontal, one blade vertical, that's to ensure that you could only plug this into a 20 amp receptacle, as opposed to the more common household 15 amp. So you use that on something a little bit beefier, something you need a little more current. A little punch, another punch. Ah, see this punch right here? Oh, let me get to that in a second. A chisel, punch. These are the ones that usually come in drill, little boxes of drills, little drill indexes, the plastic case ones, little center punches. Nothing there. This, the little shirt clip, put this in your shirt pocket, okay? It's got a Phillips head tip on it, but it's magnetic. So this is a screw starter. So you got your Phillips head screw that you've got to screw in, and you've got to go down inside something to screw it in. You put your Phillips head screw on there, go down in there like this, get it started. Once you got it started, you can pull this out and then use a regular screwdriver. Handy little thing to have. This right here, I paid it no mind when I originally got it, and then when I was looking at it the other day, I had it in with my little drifts and punches and everything, and I thought, that's interesting because that's got a taper on it on this side, almost as if that's supposed to go up into something. So I'm not sure what the deal is on that. So anyways, this punch here, this center punch right here, that at first glance I would have thought nothing of it until I saw this like little mistake over here during the manufacture of this, and realized I made this in a machine shop class at my Voctech High School. Probably, let's see now, this would have been done my first year at Voctech High, so like probably 1980, 1981. They had an exploratory where you got to go in and try different shops before you decided what you were going to settle on. I ended up settling on electronics, but I did a exploratory. I spent 1 week in the machine shop. It was alternate. You go 1 week shop and then 1 week what they called regular academics with related courses, which were periods during the day where you actually went and studied through a textbook on machining. But what they had the freshmen do for exploratory, everybody did the same exact thing. We all worked the lathe and we all made a center punch, and that is my center punch from let's call it 81. So I can't believe that I still have this. And I remember, you know, doing the operations on it. I remember the knurling and, you know, cutting the taper, and then I remembered after we finished them, we had to, they were heat treated, and they showed us how you quenched it in the oil bath, and that whole 9 yards, and that whole draw and temper and all of that. I forgot what you call it, but so anyways, that's kind of nostalgia for me. I was just putting everything away and I realized I didn't open this little secrets box. Small Allen wrenches, a whole bunch of them. No big deal, but I figured if I didn't show them, somebody would say, hey, you'd leave a comment and say, hey, what was in that secrets box? Take two. I totally forgot. And take two.